And away we go.
And this is episode 26, part 3. We were going to make this a longer one, and then we decided, fuck it. It's kind of like...
I'm burnt.
It's like Trump himself. It's like Trump himself. The point being that, well, first, unfortunately, I've been saying this for about a year now, and he's not going to be around much longer, and he's still here. But mentally, he's more and more and more people are looking at his stuff, at what he's saying, and even the people who most support him are like, he's losing his marbles. They're not holding him accountable to that fact, but you can't deny it. He just, even within the context of who he was a year or two ago, he's just losing his shit. Now, the points I was going to make are that there are like about 5 different nations that apparently he threatened. Oh, not just nations, but the nations that he threatened to launch attacks on, and then individuals within this country that he said should be not just locked up or arrested, but unalived, and just crazy ass shit that normal people, even when they're saying the most wild things, don't say. So I'm not even sure what my point is. Just the guy's losing it. Oh, I know what the point is. I don't think he's going to last till midterms, but at best he's not going to last the rest of his term. What happens when he's gone? That's the question.
That's the big open-ended question. And okay, so I'm just going to talk about his health first, and it's obviously deteriorated since he came into office. And how bad is it? There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of visible evidence to not only his mental decline but his physical decline, which I think is more obvious than his mental decline. As far as I'm concerned, he's always been a complete batshit crazy lunatic talking to absolute bullshit. Now he's just more emboldened to say the more crazier shit than he did before. So yeah, he's always been kind of a whack job in that way in my mind. Is it getting worse? I don't know. I'd have to look at it a little bit closer. So I'm not going to worry about that so much. But as far as his mental decline, as far as his physical decline, I think it's getting obvious. His hands are looking swollen, and like there's like discolorations on his ankles and hands. He's got that. He can't walk properly. He's kind of slurring his speech. He's, he could have possibly had a stroke. That one
probably.
It looks like that's plausible. This is all speculation though. And once again, a lot of people can live a long time with a lot of these ailments.
They just normally don't try running the fucking country.
Right. So is this a death sentence? Man, I've been in nursing homes. I had relatives in nursing homes, and you'd think people like, man, how are they hanging on? And they'll hang on for years. Sometimes they'll go, it goes quickly. So how long, when we're talking about his physical and his mental decline, how long would this last? Cheney, oh my God, the guy had how many heart surgeries and how many times?
3 or 4, I want to say.
Yeah, so, there's no telling. There's no telling.
Yeah.
But what and then also, so there's that, right? On top of his, somebody internally or externally ending this situation, right? So from a foreign entity or somebody on the inside, just
doing something. We're not
instantaneously.
We're not going to get ourselves in trouble, but acting like we're encouraging something.
No, not encouraging it, but this could happen.
Yeah.
This is a real. This is plausible for any president, but more so for this one than any one that I can remember in my lifetime. That's a huge plausible situation externally, just as equally as dangerous as internally. Maybe more dangerous externally from someone from the outside, just saying that enough is enough at this fucking bullshit. So there's a lot of evil characters out in the world that that are just maybe not even evil, but just want to end. Well, what is evil? But anyways, so yeah. So what happens if he vanishes? When he vanishes, or if?
Yeah. Oh,
if
right.
he might look. If things go where the midterms turn him into a lame duck, this could all fade away, and hopefully the violence would just kind of peter out, and he would just be lame duck like he was the first term, right? And that is the absolute insanely best case scenario, which I just really don't have much hope for at this point. Really, really don't.
But there's a sliver of a chance.
There's a small chance that could happen. And I'd rather catastrophize, and I'll say it again like I've said a million times, I'd rather catastrophize in this situation than in any other situation. Most of the time, I'm very, very cautious about catastrophizing in my personal life and in work or anything else, because it just usually leads
But
to bad
in this case, it could literally save lives
Save li-
because you're starting to
and
prepare.
catastrophizing doesn't hurt anything. It's not hurting anything.
If it ends up causing somebody to prepare for things that they wouldn't have otherwise prepared for, then that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing, you know, and it just gets people aware of what can happen if this ever occurs again in the future. You know, waking some people up, you know, to how this goes down. Now, what is the more likely scenarios? Like we said, somebody does something to cause him to create the Insurrection Act, and then we see how these midterms turn out and how violent he gets if they try not to have midterms, and how the military responds to an insurrection.
Or if they try and do voter suppression with ICE sitting across the street from a polling booth or whatever, you know, stuff like that.
Right, and then the local enforcement versus the federal, and the National Guard versus the federal, and you know, and how is this all going to?
And some of those scenarios are already just about to.
Right, we might
day,
see how that's going to pan out here. So, is that plausible? That's a plausible scenario as well, right? And maybe that will cause him to become a lame duck, and you know, if these elections go through and they aren't somehow able to rig it, like I think they probably did.
Well, they're doing everything they can. I mean,
they're trying with.
In fact, going back to our earlier video, they have come straight out and said, "Oh, we'll stop this stuff that you don't like us doing if you give us your the voter records."
Right. Yeah. So.
Which. Oh, well, our governor already did. So I guess.
Is there evidence? Is it going into conspiracy land? Are you kind of falling to the same thing that happened to the guys who fell for Trump's bullshit lies? Possibly, but guess what? There is more than enough inconsistency and implausible situations that happen with all the swing states going his way. And with Musk and Thiel being involved in all this, and the things that they've literally admitted to and said themselves about what happened.
Yeah. Plus,
just makes it seem
what Musk
very,
did,
very plausible.
What Musk did do, and I don't mean the whole hacking or stuff. I mean just the funding that he did in the last days would have been illegal before Citizens United.
Right. So here's another thing, and I didn't want to really get into this, but I will. The reason they wanted to not have those mailed-in ballots, right, for that when he went up against Biden, was because they can't fuck with the machines with mail-in ballots, right? But they had to because of COVID. That's the only time he lost. Think about it that way. Now, the second time around, what did he got? He was doing everything he could to stop those mail-in ballots.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I've got to bring something up if you bring that up. You heard how they've changed the Postal Service.
No. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I just have to repeat
if you're going to do it, get it in there a couple days early.
Right, because the thing is before, if you were, let's say voting was, on a Friday and you mailed your thing in on a Thursday, you're fine because it would have been postmarked that Thursday. But now, the postmark is only going to be applied when the mail service starts to deal with it. So if they don't touch that piece of mail for 2 days later, it's going to be postmarked at that time, and it doesn't get
it's just
counted.
Another way
and
to
it's
disenfranchise.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it
right.
to disenfranchise votes, and they know that the more that they can disenfranchise mail-in votes, the better.
But it can also fuck with your bills and stuff too if you actually are somebody who still does.
Yeah, good point. Good point. So it's going to affect you in a lot of ways. So just keep that in mind. I don't use the mail anymore, but if you do.
A lot of people don't. We don't. But again, for people who do, and there are more of them out there than I realized. But
right. So back to this voting thing, and what's going to happen. So let's say this guy doesn't make, or he does make it through, right? And then he's just a lame duck. That's the hopeful situation, and that these things get him in a position where he can't do anything anymore. That would be but unlikely scenario is that that's not going to happen. And then what's going to happen after that? And if he does get taken out, and my position has been that MAGA doesn't go away, and this whole white supremacy doesn't immediately disappear, but it will go back into the background where it belongs until we can get enough people educated enough and woke enough to dismantle this stuff from the inside out. And I don't think anybody, J.D. Vance, who's backed by Thiel, and and some of these other billionaires, techno-fascists, they don't have the charisma. They don't have whatever it is that Trump is, which is basically the shadow self incarnate. Whatever it is, I don't think they have it. I don't think that the Christian right, the Christo-fascists have it either, right? So you have these white nationalists combined with these Christo-fascists and these with the Project 2025, and then you have that combined with the Peter Thiels and the J.D. Vances and the Curtis Yarvin band of guys, who kind of bankrolled it. And then you also had the foreign oligarchs, right, who were bankrolling this kind of shit. And they're all kind of, working, at least with the techno-fascists and the oligarchs of Europe. But these Christian fascists are a little bit different breed here, but that's what got him voted in, right, for the most part. And those aren't going away. Christo fascists are so brain dead and fucking far gone. You can't even get to these people. So they don't go away, but they're in the recesses. In my opinion,
they scurry back to the corners a little bit,
right?
hopefully.
And then it's hopefully trying to dismantle things from within. And and the argument then becomes: is the Constitution so broken at the core? Is the operating system so malfunctioned that a whole new rewrite needs to be done from the ground up? Because a lot of people would argue that it is. That this country was established for white supremacy, and that's what's baked into the Constitution at its core, to create a new feudal system of these rich white landowners, right? With indentured servitude, slavery, and all sorts of exploitation, of the landowner. And early on, it was less than around 5% of the population voted. It wasn't until like the late 1800s that even any portion of the population was actually voting. And a lot of these people were indentured servitudes and wage slavery up until the 1900s. This was a horrible place to live for the very vast majority of humans. You were either a slave, you were in, indentured servant, or you were in poverty, working in a coal mine or in a factory or on the rail or somewhere doing something, brutal existence, or a farmer out, dealing with the elements. So, what is that the core of America, or was the America baked in with enough of the French Enlightenment ideals? And can we stick to creating amendments to update the software to make this thing work into democratic socialism, which is what appears to be happening in Northern Europe in a lot of cases in a very beneficial way for a lot of people? That's a question I don't have an answer for.
No, but it's one that we may find ourselves as a country asking in the very near future.
And like I said before, anything that I'm saying, I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be an expert. I'm giving you broad overviews. Anybody could probably tear me apart. Even the experts would probably hear what I'm saying and laugh at me. But I'm saying go to them. Go to them.
Yeah.
Read what they're saying.
And you're highlighting the parts where you do feel like you're more.
Not an expert.
Well,
look, I can set you in the right direction. They can correct me where I'm wrong.
Right.
But my general premise is probably correct.
Yeah.
So, do I have everything absolutely correct? I'm not going to make that claim, even though I might be. And there's even academics argue about people in academia argue about what's right. So, anyways, do you want to continue with anything else?
I think that we pretty much covered it. I think some of our not making more video at the moment is we're just worn down from all this shit because it hasn't stopped. It hasn't slowed down.
I'll say something nice happened to me.
Sure.
So over the weekend, I went and saw Blade Runner at the Majestic Theater in San Antonio, which is a historic theater. It's really beautiful. It's kind of like a Spanish courtyard themed place. It was built in the early 1900s in 1929. I think it was when it was finally put together, and then it kind of fell apart, and then they rehabbed it and a couple times after that. And it's a really nice place to see a show, right? And my first time there, and they played Blade Runner, and they had a live
orchestra,
or what was 3 synths, some violins. It's all synth music. It's Vangelis did the score. He's the guy who did Chariots of Fire, won the Academy Award for Best
Vangelis.
Vangelis. And so it's a beautiful soundtrack, and it works beautifully with the movie, especially, which is an awesome movie, which touches on so many different themes, and it's very poignant to this day too, about slavery and what it is to be.
Well, Philip K. Dick himself wrote some.
Right, so this is not only a movie about what it is to be human and the existential, human crisis of the impermanence of things and wanting autonomy and freedom and the purpose and meaning in life, which is beautifully exampled at the very end when he basically recites poetry about
Rutger Hauer's Thing in the Rain.
A robot, this constructed human can recite poetry even though he wasn't supposed to be having emotions. You know, so it lies into all this stuff, you know, but then it also taught, you know, like I said, then about autonomy and slavery and being a slave. And then like, you know, Decker is sort of an ice agent of this.
Oh, very much so.
Right.
I never even thought about that until you said it.
Right.
Now.
So, and I didn't either until I was watching this. So it's very, very, very interesting, especially in this time. If you have not seen that movie, look, sci-fi movies, Star Wars, okay, whatever. Yeah, Imperial kind of fits in with America being this evil empire and stuff, and the hero's journey. But this is all kind of old patriarchy, violence, and bullshit. And then Star Trek is even better, I think, than Star Wars. You know, it's got a lot of other things going on there and a lot of stuff. But this movie, to me, is like quintessential sci-fi for like really asking the deep questions of like what is up. So for me, this is like,
and then you should go back and read the original short story that it was written off of, because yes, it's the what it was based off of, but it's so different in so many powerful ways.
Right, it's much different. You might even recognize it.
Yeah, I'm not saying that one is better than the other. Like as a movie, the way they did it is probably better.
I think
than
it's in a
if they just
book
done
of
it
short
as a book.
stories.
But there are just so many fascinating ideas. I mean,
right. But my point was going to be, so we go there, right? We got in this nice hotel, historic hotel, which was an old like boys' school for church or something. And then it was right across the street. And then we did a little river walk, and we got something to eat. And lo and behold, what's happening right above us on the bridge as we're finishing up our food? A protest. So we're like, hey man, we got up, joined the protest. They walked around a little bit and went right to our hotel. So we got to join a protest to walk back to the hotel. So it all worked out. And then I got to go see that fucking awesome movie with the orchestration, or whatever you want to call it. So there you go. Life isn't all bad.
Yeah.
For sometimes.
Right.
For me at least. I don't know about you. I hope you too. I really do.
Find something that makes you
look. Do you want to end it with
let's
find something that makes you happy,
right.
because there's nothing else.